when the selflessness giving hurt sorrow when the sorrows of 1,000 marching men singing just to fill their emptiness. New wisdom was a choice of the moment, there for you to be now and not just to become. I put myself down just by looking up. Fell out from the caring of a woman. I felt the loss of a fallen child underneath the sun. On the day I woke, this whole soulless world. Heart open, without the fear of pain it may find its way in. And if it did, I'd do the same all again. A witness flow of poetry in the ocean, a bird along to my eyes met the lining of the sky. Fulfilled enough to never question right. And I showed myself upon my own reflection of a world I'm creating that's affecting everyone. On the day I woke, this whole soulless world. You sang to beat these lyrics as if they were written to the beating of my heart. If you can feel its pulse, it's not too late to start. But it's not my place for me to offer lessons or give advice to those who have their own minds. But to share with you the simple things I find. Oh, but still you held this message in your eyes. In a promise to myself I would express it, well, not knowing if I'm capable or if I would respond. On the day I woke, this whole song is well. On the day I woke, this whole song is well. On the day I woke, this whole song is well. Hey, what's up, what's up? This is your girl, Nicole Reloaded. Oh, and we locked and loaded with another video. Please go ahead and thumbs this video up. What is poppin'? How you doing, OG Brand? It's good to see you, my brother. May God bless you. So, hey, T-Love. How you doing, sweetie? Love you. All right, let's get into it.
Hi, I'm Amy McGrath, and I'm running for Senate to defeat Mitch McConnell, and I need your help to get
into not just Breonna Taylor's apartment.
The judge in Louisville, Kentucky, announcing the grand jury's decision regarding the Breonna Taylor case, a woman shot to death in her own home during a police raid. It appears only one of the 6 officers who was involved in that operation has been charged. Let's go to Gabe Gutierrez right now in Louisville. Gabe, walk us through what just happened.
That's it? Hey there, Lester. Well, we're just starting to get reaction here. We're at Jefferson Square Park in downtown Louisville, and the decision is starting to trickle in. But I want to point out what just happened. There were 3 officers here that were under investigation as part of these proceedings. One you just heard from right there, Detective Brent Hankinson. He is significant because he is the only one of those 3 officers that had previously been fired. And in his termination letter, the police chief wrote that he had wantonly and blindly fired into one of the apartments. So he was appealing his termination, but it appears that the grand jury, the only officer that the grand jury has returned an indictment on, has been Brent Hankinson for the lesser charge of wanton endangerment. Prosecutors had said that he had fired into not just Breonna Taylor's apartment, but another apartment as well. And according to the police chief in his termination letter, that did not follow the use of force policy in the Louisville Police Department. The other 2 officers that were part of this investigation, Sergeant John Mattingly and Miles Crossgrove, they remain employed by the department. They are still on paid administrative leave. Lester, what's significant here is that we did not hear any charges against those 2 officers. As part of all this and part of a broader context here, the Breonna Taylor case has really set this community on edge for more than 6 months. There have been more than 100 days of protests where many of the protesters have been asking for murder charges in this case. You discussed the details of this. This was a botched raid back in March of this year, and this case got national and even international attention, especially following the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Her name, Breonna Taylor's name, has become a rallying cry for social justice protests across the country. It's important to note that Breonna Taylor's family was asking for second-degree manslaughter charges against these officers. They were not going so far as to go to ask for murder charges here because even the family realized that, in their words, it would be a long shot to get a murder charge in this case because of Kentucky's self-defense laws, which would allow potentially an officer to fire back. The police have insisted from the beginning here, and the police union has reiterated this, that they feel the shooting was justified because Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, had fired upon the officers first, and that the officers, according to the police union, only returned fire once they were fired upon. But again, the significance here, Lester, only 1 officer has been charged by the grand jury, a charge of wanton endangerment that is less than what the family had been asking for. 2 other officers, it appears, here will not be charged, and we're now awaiting comment from the Kentucky Attorney General in the next few minutes. Lester?
Gabe Gutierrez, thank you. NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas is here. Danny, walk us through this process now and these charges. 3 counts of first-degree wanton endangerment. Looking at the range of potential charges, where does this fit in?
On the low end, wanton endangerment is a Class D felony. It involves not an intentional act, but something manifesting an extreme indifference to human life, something incredibly dangerous and arguably knowingly dangerous. But it is a Class D felony in Kentucky, which I understand only calls for 1 to 5 years imprisonment, and then potentially the opportunity for what we call pretrial diversion. And, across the country, pretrial diversion is basically your one free bite of the apple. If you don't have any significant prior record, then you can get a diversionary program that could keep you out of prison. You see it a lot in DUI cases and other lower level type misdemeanors and felonies. So in the grand spectrum of potential charges in this case, this is arguably on the lower end. It is a felony, but it is a Class D felony, and looking at a maximum of 5 years for each count.
Given the fact the grand jury took a pass on the other 2 officers, what does that tell you about any potential case that might have come against them? Was that going to be a more difficult mountain to climb?
This was always a difficult case, but Officer Hankinson appeared to be the easiest target for the grand jury because there were reports already that he had fired, and I'm quoting wildly, into the apartment. But in this case, there was always going to be a challenge due to what's called castle doctrine, the idea that as long as somebody is lawfully standing where they stand.
Okay, they flagged us. Hold on, y'all.
Of indicting police officers who shoot unarmed civilians, because police are the one segment of our society that is authorized to go on the offensive.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking
So that pretty much sums it up.
out our YouTube channel.
Okay, Breonna Taylor charges explained. Grand jury indicts one. Former officer and the other officers were not charged. The Jefferson County Grand Jury has indicted one former police officer, Brett Hingston, with 3 counts of first-degree wanton endangerment in Breonna Taylor's case. The other 2 officers involved in the fatal shooting were not charged. There was a New York Times article that was written a couple of weeks ago. Breonna Taylor is a victim. Yeah, it's just very sad. We can be in our own homes and they can just come in and knock on our door and shoot us like wild animals or something. People, be careful. Please be careful. Please be careful out there, man. Please.
New York Times laid out that show that she was not an innocent victim. You can be a victim without being innocent. And there's a dramatic difference. And I want to get into this because I don't think the athletes do the research, and I'm hoping there's some athletes that will watch this video. I will do the research for them. I will translate and fairly, accurately, objectively describe what's in the long-form New York Times piece so you don't have to read it for yourself. But the New York Times, which is the liberal Bible, and certainly a friend to Black Lives Matter, did a very fair and objective piece on Breonna Taylor and what led to the events in Louisville that cost her her life. And
What this New York Times piece is saying that Breonna Taylor is a victim of bad decision making. I've been trying to find the piece. Some of these articles, they make you you have to pay for them. But the article, right? I know, T Love. That's what I said. That the article came out about 2 weeks ago. When I find it, I'm gonna share it so you guys can go in and read it yourself. So let's just listen a little bit.
what the piece makes crystal clear is that she could not escape the awful decision she made for several years to date the same career criminal drug dealer. I think the guy's name is Jamark Walker. Again, I read this story a few days ago. Or maybe it's Jamarcus Glover.
Okay, what the piece said was that Breonna Taylor's her first boyfriend, was involved in some serious type of criminal activity. The police were watching him. It's heavy, y'all. It's a lot. And that's the reason why the police went to the door, because they were looking for the previous boyfriend. She had moved on from the previous boyfriend and was dating a new boyfriend. When the boyfriend allegedly got up to go to the door and started shooting at the police, is because he thought it was Breonna Taylor's ex-boyfriend trying to come up in the house.
She dated a career drug dealer criminal. Been locked up a few times. and she was involved in some way. They have evidence, proof, him talking on recorded phones, talking about she has 14,000 of his dollars, $8,000 that he be leaving his money with Brianna. They have video of her or pictures of her outside his trapped houses. At one point, the New York Times points out that she had rented a car, loaned it to her drug dealing boyfriend.
She had got, she had rented a car, according to the New York Times piece, and let the ex-boyfriend use it. And there was a murder that happened in that rental car. Now, I just want y'all to think and let me know how y'all, how y'all feel about this. Yes, OG Brand, that is so true. This world we live in is just evil. May God have mercy on us and keep us safe, Lord, please.
And one of his associates was shot and murdered in that car. And the police interviewed Breonna Taylor about her, I wouldn't say role, her knowledge of the murder. Anyway, the police had to interview her about the murder of this guy. They got murdered inside the rental car she had rented. This is not an innocent victim. This is somebody who dabbled in the game from afar through her connection with this boyfriend, who she went back and forth with for several.
I guess the New York Times written this piece to get people to understand what led up to the police coming to the apartment. You never know. It could be just a way to try to damage her, her reputation in some sense. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've dated many years ago some bad guys. You can end up getting caught up just by association. I think what they were trying to point out is the association is what caused her to be the innocent victim that was murdered in her own home. I don't know, y'all. This is deep. Yep, they sure do, Brand. They sure do. They treat us like dog poop.
Years. She transitioned to a new boyfriend late in her life. And he was not associated with the drug game and under any kind of investigation.
Okay, the current boyfriend wasn't under any investigation. No, no criminal past from what they stated in this article, this New York Times piece that was written 2 weeks ago.
That new boyfriend was at her house where police had reason to believe that perhaps drug money was stashed, drug paraphernalia, more incriminating evidence about her ex-boyfriend, who she still had some dealings with. Paid bail, took instructions from him, the whole 9 yards. This is not an innocent victim. This is a young person trapped by their mistakes. And the reason why we should be talking about this is because young people need to understand how your seemingly innocent mistakes, the young people that you are associated with, can draw you into something more dangerous than you would know or believe. I went through this very issue at age 20, 21 with my father. My father.
This is deep, y'all. What y'all think, man? And the thing that is really something else, the Bible says that the times that we are in is going to get even worse. Mm-mm-mm. God help our young folk. Oh, I pray for my kids and my family and my friends to stay protected, because this is just a mess.
Could not stand my best friend because he believed, rightfully so, that that friend was involved in the drug game. And me and my father battled about my friendship. A friend of mine from high school, it was hard for me to let him go. We were tight. We were tight since we were.
I think a lot of us, know someone or has somewhat of a similar getting caught up, with someone that gets in the game, you know, circumstances. They feel like because they don't have no money, so they start selling drugs. And they start living a very dangerous, reckless life. But you have to separate yourself from that, because you can end up getting hurt. You can end up getting hurt real bad.
Little kids, and my father was like, "Hey man, that's gonna drag you into some BS." Cause my father was a street dude. He knew the streets like the back of his hand. He knew where that was headed. Didn't want me involved. It took.
What we're listening to is Breonna Taylor is a victim of bad decision making. Hashtag fearless with Jason Whitelock. His channel name is Outkick. This article was created 2 weeks ago. I wish he would have put the New York Times piece in here so I could have copied and pasted. I'm sure I'll find it.
My friend having me drive him to a drug house for me to realize, hey, look, my father's right. I need to make some different decisions. Breonna Taylor, young people, when you date a drug dealer, a known criminal, those criminal enterprises can sweep you up, put you in jail,
Yep.
or cost you your life.
I know a young lady, daughter, shh, be quiet, sugar baby, that got in a car with her boyfriend and his friend. She had no clue that these two ignorant young men were going to go rob somebody. When they went in the house to rob this individual, the two young men um, killed this man inside his home. And now this girl is still fighting for her life, because they gave all of them first degree murder. It was a lot of charges. And she was only, how old was this girl? 17 years old. 17 years old. Thumbs up this video, like, share, and subscribe. Listen to your girl, Nicole Reloaded, locked and loaded with another video. 17-year-old girl facing the death penalty. They hear the pain of my homegirl yelling and screaming about they gon' kill her. They got her on charges by guilt by association, man. Jesus. Be careful who you hang with, who you deal with, man. Ignorance of the law don't mean you can't be charged with a crime.
I can't go into details because I don't want to embarrass anybody, but one of my best friends, his daughter, caught a case in Atlanta messing around with a criminal, and she had to do 3 years in prison. And she wasn't involved
And wasn't even
in a
involved.
real way, but she was dabbling and caught a case and got 3 years. That's what happened to Breonna.
OG Brand said, God got me so on fear, nothing but my God. Amen, my brother. Yeah, you can get caught up all kinds of ways. They hold everything back, then come for us and, yep, plan it on us for real, for real. That's why on live, the lifestyle I used to live. T-Love said, yeah, 7 years, bad luck. 7 years, good luck. We have on invisible change.
Taylor, this whole narrative that, oh, it's a racial injustice and they did this to Breonna Taylor, it's racism. The New York Times piece goes on to explain that the Louisville police on that night executed 4 drug raids related to her ex-boyfriend, all at the same time.
Did y'all hear that?
They arrested her ex-boyfriend that night, the same night she was killed. Her boyfriend was arrested at one of these drug raids that they were executing that night on his operation. Bullets were fired at just one location. There was only one fatality. There was only one case of violence. And that was at the location where Breonna Taylor's new boyfriend got out of bed and fired his gun at police, setting off the police firing back. If this was some kind of racist plot, 4 drug raids, there's only violence in one, it's sparked by her boyfriend firing his gun. Oh, he thought someone was breaking in. He thought there was intruders. You know, it was just, he has a right, he carries a gun.
Oh, And I just found this. I don't know. I said, I got to come on and share this and see what y'all, think about this. Because this is deep, man. Somebody put, I'm surprised the New York Times actually did some journalism. LOL. Somebody's getting fired. Somebody stated, a campaign of fools shall be destroyed. Proverbs. Someone said, I tell my kids, wherever you are, whoever you're with, I don't want you to be the smartest kid there, but the best decision maker, because prisons, hospitals, and graveyards are full of smart people who made bad decisions. So be a great decision maker. Somebody said, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. It's sad that Jason, along with a lot of people, missed the point of it all. Was she guilty for falling for the wrong guy? Yes. But not one time in the whole article, which I read myself, say she did anything illegal. She dated a man who was out there in the streets. She finally found the strength to pull herself away from him. She began moving on with her life. Regardless of all that, and even her dating a criminal, there was too many errors by the police, which is the main reason for the uproar. Breonna is a victim, period. She started making the adjustments to her life, but the officers failed to make adjustments to their duty and responsibility. Had they done just that, Breonna would still be alive, and all From all the evidence gathered, not in jail, no drugs or cash was found in the apartment. The police already had Mr. Glover, and they didn't even know there was another person in the home with her. Also, through failure of their own, there was no ambulance on standby, and even one did arrive. They still didn't know about Brianna being shot until the boyfriend at the time called 911, reporting a break-in. Somebody said, doesn't matter your race, bad decisions and hanging around bad people get bad results. Be careful with who you associate with. This just blew my mind. I'll be honest, I didn't know nearly enough about this case before watching. I sided with the NBA, the WNBA, and other professional athletes saying this was an act of racism and oppression. After watching this and looking at the reports, I just wanted to say thank you, Jason Whitlock. I admire your courage and conviction to speak on what you believe is right, no matter the obvious cost. Somebody said Breonna Taylor is what we call in the game a babysitter. Let that sink in. This should serve as a cautionary tale to black women who are turned on by hiding uns and Uggs for the community, desiring boyfriends and baby daddies. Gosh, he what a rude comment. These comments is deep. Somebody said, I got a shotgun, you got the briefcase. It's all the game though, right? Omar Little. All I'm saying is, she ain't no citizen, that's for sure. Wow.
The dudes at the trap house, or anybody could think that and use that as a justification. I don't get his actions. I don't, because just read the New York Times story. You thought all of this happened, bam, 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 and really, you read the New York Times story and you find out they were asleep in bed, had time to get up, put clothes on, and then go check the door before the bullets were fired. This wasn't instantaneous. Police busted the door, he fired the bullet, they fired back. They got dressed, put some clothes on, and then went to go. Well, who's at the door? Who's knocking at my door? There's only one place where violence happened that night. Her boyfriend fired first. This is not an innocent victim. This is a victim of bad decision making. Her boyfriend said the reason he fired, he thought it was her ex-boyfriend.
Once again, that is Breonna. Breonna Taylor is a victim of bad decisions. Jason Whitelock is giving a breakdown in his opinion about the New York Times article written about Breonna Taylor.
Bacon is the new condiment.
What's the definition of a condiment?
Something that goes on things and makes it better.
Another one? Don't judge me.
So crispy, juicy,
Tender.
barbecue.
I want a whole time. Whole time.
Get off my guts.
And so I understand it's a different situation, but what would be your suggestion or thought of, you said you guys hadn't reconvened. What could you guys do next, or what do you think you should do next, even just to open up a dialogue?
I think when teams have a break, like how Miami and Boston did, there's time to actually reconvene. And obviously there's time in between each round.
Okay, members of the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Lakers react to the news that a grand jury in Louisville decided not to move forward with charges against any officers for the roles in shooting death of Breonna Taylor. One officer was charged with wanton endangerment in connection to the raid that resulted in Taylor's death. So a lot of the players are coming out and giving their opinions. Y'all can check that out on ESPN if y'all are interested in that. So I just wanted to come on and talk about this. This is very, very heavy, very sad. Stay prayed up. Please stay prayed up. Through God, all things are possible, man. You just have to believe. Hold on to the Father's undying hand. We'll listen to some music. May God bless you. $ Nicole Reloaded on the Cash App if you would like to help to donate towards the channel. Stay focused. Please stay focused.
Irresistibly smooth. No, it's hard when you don't get the time to do the things you gotta do. Always moving forward, always on the go. I hope you take a moment to take it slow. Let me be the one to ease your pain. Let me be the one to ease your pain. Baby, take a break. It'll be okay. Let me be the one to ease your pain. Know sometimes that it doesn't make sense.